5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast, episode 43. Guys, we're not going to go into details tonight, but we always want to start off like we normally do by thanking our sponsors, which are Yellow Jacket, House Call Pro, and Webbit. So you got your tools and your materials, everything you need to do the job taken care of. You got all your software as far as taking care of your invoices, making your business run better, taken care of, and then a website all right there, guys. So remember, Yellow Jacket, House Call Pro, and Webbit.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the USA, and thank you to all of our listeners from coast to coast, from sea to sea. We appreciate each and every one of you.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended, because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelley McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelley.
Hey, what is up, friends? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Once again, episode 43. I am yours truly, Gil Cavey, sitting alongside my buddy old pal, Mr. Kelley motherfucking McKay. What's up, homie?
Oh, installations. That's what's up.
Ooh, that's good.
It is.
Installations mean money. Cha-ching.
It's good. It's been a really good month. We are setting records this month, so pretty excited about that.
Yeah, we are too, man. Our one head install guy, he kind of whines a little bit. Let's just be honest. He's probably going to hear this, but it's cool, Dave. We all know you whine, bro. But you're a good installer. But we really have been working the fuck out of him the last. I mean, he did an install last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and he did a furnace this morning.
Cha-ching, overtime.
Like yeah, I mean, the owner asked him, and I told him, I was like, dude, if you don't want to do it, just tell him no. I'm like, don't do it, and he's like, no, it's cool. I'm like, all right, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Right on. Needs the money, man. I appreciate that, because sometimes we just need the extra money. It's just nice, to be able to throw some money back, get a little bit of security. And after the slow season that we just went through, leading up to this spring, it's nice to have some work.
Yeah. Plus for him, he's in a position where he's not married. His kids are all grown. And I think he has this I don't want to call it mother-in-law suite because he's a dude, but you know what I mean? It's like a house behind one of his sons. So he just throws his son some money, and it's him and his dog. He's got a nice Mustang that's paid off, so he's all good. So all that money just goes in the bank. But it's funny that he has this nickname we gave him. Obviously, I won't say his last name, but it's Dave Nothing New Before 2. He's good until 2 o'clock, but you try to give him something new after 2 o'clock, that motherfucker will fight you like a pit bull. So we were like, that's your new nickname, man. Dave Nothing New After 2. It was pretty funny, but he gets it done though, man. He does. I give it to him. Yeah, he
Shout
makes
out
shit
to all
work.
the installers. I know how hard a work it is. You guys bust your ass every day, and you're making it happen.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you guys don't get the
No,
credit that you deserve. We all have stepping stones in this job and stuff like that, but there's guys that I've known that have been lifer installers because that was their choice, and they're some of the coolest guys, smartest guys I've ever met. I mean, so yeah, you guys keep rocking. Trust me, us service guys, we go out and we sell jobs, and that's all great, but guess what? We ain't gotten that commission check if we ain't got somebody to install it.
Yep, absolutely. And just we've talked about this a little bit, but I guess we talked about it not too many podcasts back, but there's always that opportunity on the back end. The big sale's done. It's time to sell a couple accessories if possible. All about communication. We talked about that, so we're not going to go into it. I'm just saying. But yeah, I agree, man. Installers don't always get the credit that they deserve, and it's a lot of credit because some jobs I know they're wide open in a basement or wherever. I know some places only have all of their furnaces are in attics, which I hate to have to deal with that all summer long. But where you're at and where I'm at, we got a lot of basements, so sometimes they're wide open. You can, and it makes the job go a lot smoother and you got plenty of room. Other times they're in some tight little closet that only one person can work at a time in there and just makes it more difficult. So we're just saying that we know what you guys are going through every day, the struggles you go through, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, man. There's all different hats in this trade that they're all needed. So, and me and Kelley have talked about that till we've been blue in the face. So we won't get into that, but not to waste too much more time. So me and Kelley are both businesses booming. We hope that you guys are the same. Most of the time, like around Memorial Day or after, you guys should be busy. I would think you are by looking the news and seeing like Good Morning America, like the global stuff when they do that kind of weather. I mean, it looks like everywhere is pretty warm. Obviously some warmer than others, but I know family in Texas say it's hotter than holy hell. I know it's hot in the South, like Carolinas. They say South Carolina is like scorching. I know guys up in some of the northern states that say it's warm. So I think everybody is doing pretty good right now, at least for their respective locations.
Yeah, so. we just had a couple of days like 85-degree days. We have not even hit 90, I don't believe yet. We may have had one day, but then it cooled off and we've had nothing but rain, like torrential downpours and tornadoes all over the place. And so it's just like, it's been a crazy spring. One of my guys was telling us the other morning in our little morning huddle that Kansas, or at least our area of Kansas, has had like 50% or 58% of its estimated or forecasted rainfall for the year, all in 1 month, the month of May.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I believe it, man. It's been crazy, like just rain. And we're finally it didn't rain today. And we've got, I think, a couple of days where we're going to get through with hopefully no rain. It acted like it could rain anytime during the day today, but it didn't, thankfully. But I know that there's more rain coming in the forecast. It could be by the weekend even, or the first part of next week. So I'm hoping we don't see it because everything is still, it's just a muddy mess everywhere you go. And we've had flooding in all parts of everywhere in our town here in the little town of Augusta, Kansas. We've had flooding. A lot of places in Wichita have flooded, sometimes just because it rains so much in such a short amount of time that the water just, it had nowhere to go. So thankfully, I think we're past that. And now this little break in the rain's giving the rivers time to go back down a little bit so we can handle some more that's forecasted. God damn, man. Every time I talk to you, it's about
been
rain.
Horrible. It's like goddamn Dorothy. She's tapping her heels, man. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. We didn't wash down the fucking river. Yeah, that sucks, man. We've had some rain here, but nothing like you guys have had. We've had plenty of days in the 90s. It was 90 something today. It was hot as a fucking whore out today. Yesterday, like I told you when we were texting, it was only like 80 something, but it was humid as fuck, man. Like it was just, the air was just sticky. It was bad, and humidity is a bald man's worst nightmare, dude. So it was rough, man. Like I just get out of my van and be like, I don't want to get out. I don't want to get out. But yeah, it's picked up here, man. It gets pretty warm, and I know people talk about, and I don't want to go off on a rant here because we have a good show for you guys tonight. But when people talk about, like, I don't know, like, oh, you don't know humidity like in Louisiana and Florida and blah blah blah, and I know those places are hot and they're Texas and they're humid, but it gets pretty hot and humid in Maryland. I mean, because 95% humidity is 95% humidity, no matter where the fuck you are. So it doesn't matter. And we get that here. Granted, we might not have it for as long of a stretch as maybe some of the other places do, or as much of the year. But when we do get it, it's pretty bad.
We have awful humidity here in Kansas for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, people are like, oh, I'm like, it's 95% humidity here. Like, oh yeah, but it's not like here. Like, motherfucker, 95% humidity is 95% humidity. We all go by the same fucking scale, dipshit.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, guys, we have another, I keep saying guys and gals. I keep forgetting the ladies. Sorry, females. But we have another good show for you tonight. It's going to be another one coming out of our top 10 series that we're going to scramble in here a little bit. But tonight, me and Kelley, obviously we've done a lot of things about business on this, and how to run a business and mistakes to avoid in a business and etc., that kind of stuff. So this one is going to be top 10 new business failures or new business killers, things that are sure to sink your business quick, fast, and in a fucking hurry. All right. So we have, we have 8 categories in this, not 10. I'm sorry. We combined it some because I know the last time we did it, we kind of got redundant with some of them. And once again, we're going in no particular order, but me and Kelley both feel we've went over these and we feel like all 8 of these topics are for sure not going to help you run a business. That if you have any of these issues, that you're kind of destined for failure. Yeah. So we want to try to bring these up and talk about them to maybe help somebody that's thinking about going to do it, somebody that just did it, somebody who's been through it and is like, oh, fuck yeah, I know what you're talking about. So yeah, just to bring up the discussion, and you guys always know real fast before we get into it, you guys know how to get in touch with us. You guys know the podcast is on all the major podcast apps. Go ahead and give us a review on there. Give us a 5-star review on whatever app that you're using. You can email us, hvacuncensored@gmail.com. You can go to our website. You can email us there, or go to YouTube, which is www.hvacuncensored.com. So yeah, just reach out to us. You guys know how to get in touch with us, and let us know if you think anything else should be added to this if we're missing, and we'll do that down the road. So let me stop talking, and we will start off with the number one thing on our list. Like we said, this is no particular order.
But this is number one.
I've been yapping. We'll let you go with number one.
No particular order, but this is number one. And you've heard this. We've said this is an easy one. So you're going to hear some that you've heard before, and you're going to hear some that you probably haven't heard or maybe haven't thought of. But this one you've definitely heard of, and it's just your pricing. And I could see both sides of it. Josh in the Facebook group, this came up in a post a while back, and Josh said something about act as if, and I thought that was brilliant. That was a brilliant way to put it. Is you want to act as if, like, if you don't have an employee yet because you're just starting out, or maybe you got 3 employees and you want 4 and you want to grow the company. Well, act as if you have 4. With your pricing. You've got to be able to pay for the things and the expenses that come up, because you're going to have unexpected expenses, period. No matter what, they're going to pop up. You'll have a truck repair, an unexpected tax bill that's due. You'll have, there's just so many things. you'll have a customer who doesn't pay. You'll have to chase some of the other money. Sometimes you might go ahead and get paid, but just things are going to come up. So you got to have the money to cover those expenses when they arise. And it all starts with pricing. Mitch Kinney, if some of you guys have seen Mitch Kinney, he's been kind of quiet in most of the groups. I've seen him over in HVAC Owners and Managers, Louis Bruno's group, a couple of times because I think he's been watching some of Lewis's live posts. So I've seen him comment in there a little bit, and he says that the customer pays for everything, and I love that saying because it's just true with any business. Period. The customer pays for anything. It kind of has like a negative connotation to it, or it almost makes me feel slimy saying it, but it's true. So it's just a fact. It's reality. You got to charge what you're worth in order to have the money that you're going to have when unexpected things happen, and to be able to grow the business and get the things that you need for the business.
Yeah. Plus, guys, we all know that, you start a business to be profitable. I mean, these are things we've all talked about. And I get the point in the beginning that maybe you, just to get your foot in the door, that you want to be a little bit cheaper and just trying to build that clientele because you started out with side work. You don't really have a whole bunch of clientele yet. And you're trying to get your foot in the door and stuff like that, get new customers. And I get that. But at some point you have to start charging the right amount of money. Just like Kelley said, you have to plan as if you have all these other bills, that you have an office already, that you already have 2 other trucks and you got to pay for this insurance or whatever it is. Because that's one of the biggest things that guys fail, that they go out there and, oh yeah, I'll give you, $30 a pound for R22. No, that you can't do that. Oh, well, that jug cost me $600 and I divide that by 25 and I can, okay, I'll do this. Like, no, guys, you have to be smart about it. So I won't go into any more, but pricing is huge. You have to be priced to make a profit. Don't price yourself out of business. Okay. I'm just going to leave you with that. Don't price yourself out of business.
Yeah. And that can, one other thing on that is you can go back to saying, Mike Aguilera says this. I don't know if he heard this from somewhere else, but one of anything is none. So if you don't have enough money to hire somebody or buy the next truck that you need and to stock it and all the stuff like that, I mean, if you're that small and you only have one and you're just starting out, well, which most of the time when businesses are starting out, this is how they begin. The technician, the installer, the sales manager or general manager or whatever the case, they wind up deciding that they're going to go out and try this on their own. So, but until you can duplicate yourself and then find people who can, answer the phones and then a backup for when that person's gone, because, people they get vacation or they get sick or something unexpected comes up. You need somebody for backup. So the more protection you can have and build within your company, then the more freedom you're going to eventually have. But most people don't get to that. This is why we're talking about failure, is just it goes back to your pricing. So sorry, Gil, but we can move on. You go ahead and hit the next one.
Yeah, no, you're good, buddy. The next one we're going to do, and I'm going to say as we go on, these are in no particular order, but yeah. This is number 2, is it's combined. It's 2 different things, so they kind of mean the same. It's going to be ignorance and the underestimation of ownership. And what we mean by that is someone who doesn't realize, like, okay, say you work for a company and you're like, oh man, screw this shit, man. I'm not working for this guy. He's making all the money and we're doing all the work and I want to start my own company. That you're ignorant to what your owner actually does, what goes on behind the scenes, and you start a company and you don't realize all the hats that you have to wear now. That now you have to be the accountant, the receptionist, the technician, the installer, the tech support guy, just all the things that it takes to run a business. This is where a plan in place, like I tell anybody who wants to start a company, like have a plan in place before you just leap out there. Write up a plan. Like, I want to make sure I have this kind of money. I have well, I'm not going to go into that because I'm going to give off some of the list, but did you have certain things in place before you make that leap? Because you might start to write those things down, and all of a sudden you might be like, well, fuck, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe this is a lot more than I thought it is. So I think some guys get ignorant and they see all the glitz and the glam as, oh, I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to be my own boss. And yeah, that's all great, but it doesn't always come with, apple pie and it's all great and sunshine and rainbows. So you got to have the realization of what really happens when you're an owner of a company. So you're an owner of a company, Kel, so go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, for one, I thought it was bad being on call every other week because I worked for a small company and we just were on call. We just rotated. And then after a while, we would rotate 2 weeks at a time. That way you would at least get your 2 weeks off. Well, that goes out the window. Now I'm on call 24/7. Now, in the very beginning, I didn't have that many calls, but if I was hustling, every day I was hustling, knocking on doors, trying to find as many customers as I can.
Every day I'm hustling. Every day
I'm hustling.
I couldn't have started. Go ahead.
I'm hustling. Yeah. So when you're hustling and, on the pricing thing, totally, I get what Gil was saying. You may be a little bit less, but you still got to be more than what you think you need to be on your charging when you first, what you're pricing your jobs at when you first start out. But you might have some customers that, later down the road, they're going to help you build your company, but later down the road, they're probably not going to be your ideal customer anymore. And so a lot of times that means landlords, rental properties, and they're looking for somebody cheap, and you're a little bit cheaper than, I was way cheaper than anyone else, but the goal is to be just a little bit cheaper than anywhere else. So you can get enough work to fill the schedule, keep revenue coming in. But the bottom line, you're hustling, the phone's going to start ringing more. You do good work and you stand behind your work and you stand behind your warranties and you're friendly. And when people need you, you jump, you're going to grow. And when that happens, that phone gets to ringing more and more every weekend. So it's really easy to underestimate, just like Gil said, all the hats you're wearing. I remember I would park in front of the post office every morning and I would sit in my van for an hour, sometimes hour and a half, billing, like invoicing, billing. Sometimes people needed quotes mailed to them or whatever the case. So I'd be mailing quotes. So I had my whole entire office in my truck, in my van. I had my envelopes, my stamps, and I had my invoices because they were there from the day before. And I made sure that everything got billed every day. So there's a lot of responsibility in that. Like now you just turn your invoices in if you're a service technician. And then you don't know what happens after that. Like you don't have to prepare it to get it out. You don't have to take the deposits to the bank. You don't have to make sure that this data from the invoice is being entered into your QuickBooks or Peachtree or whatever you're using for your accounting software. Like there's just a lot that goes into the back end stuff that we don't realize. And answering the phones is a big one, but then you're the one pulling the permits. You're the one renewing everyone's license or where maybe that was taken care of for you before. You're paying the cell phone bill. Like we've had problems where the cell phone bills are automated, like an automatic pay. Well, we wake up one morning and I got 5 cell phones that don't work. So in order to get that running, I had to drive up to the place. This happened 2 or 3 times just because of whenever I added a phone, they weren't doing it right and it wasn't getting on there and it would like mess up the rest of the payments. So little things like this that just take your time, they take your energy, and they take money that we just underestimate. So it's important to have an idea of what ownership's going to actually look like. And most of the time we're just ignorant to it. We see that the boss is sitting in his office and in our minds, he's not doing shit. That's what I thought. I mean, my boss wasn't doing shit. I mean, she took 3-day weekends almost every fucking weekend. And yeah.
Did you say she?
My last boss that I worked for, her and her husband had gotten a divorce, and come to find out, it was her money, because they had purchased an existing business, and it was her money, like a 401k or something, that really purchased the business. So when they got divorced, she wound up keeping the business. And that was difficult, working for somebody that has no fucking clue what you're doing every day. Real difficult. So real quick story, what that can be like is I'm out working, and I'm heading from one little town to the next town, and our office is in between. I get a phone call. Hey, do you got any hot surface igniters in your truck? Yeah, sure. What brand is it? It's a Rheem. Oh yeah, I got several of those. Okay, could you stop by and drop one off, because I got a customer here that needs one. So I get there on my way to my next call, go in, and she brings me a flame sensor. So it's shit like that just rubs you the wrong way. It's like you're out there busting your ass, working late, on call every weekend practically, and you don't have any fucking clue what I do every day. Like, it definitely rubbed me the wrong way, and that's ultimately why I left. But anyhow, but I saw her taking 3-day vacations, 4-day weekends all the time. And she had like a cabin at one of the lakes that was, within driving distance, an hour away or something. And so I'm like, fuck, she can do this, I can fucking do this, And so, but I severely underestimated. They had a foundation in place that I was working in and operating off of. And when you first start out, and you start out with nothing, you don't have that foundation.
No. Plus, real fast, maybe in that situation, like even Kelley said, yeah, they had a financial foundation and stuff like that. But I see some guys that they see their boss like go away or do something, and they're like, man, it's bullshit, man. He's away again, or she's away again. Who gives a fuck? They're the owner of the company. That's why they own the company, so they can do that. It is like sometimes like our owner will go away, or he'll be fishing, and guys will make comments like, man, he's fishing again.
But that's the vision. So what? When you're in that position, you think that's what being an owner means. And when you're starting from nothing, if you buy a company that has a general manager already, and it's running and producing X amount of revenue every year, and you pay $500,000 for it or whatever, well, then you can have an owner's lifestyle. But when you're starting from nothing, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's there's a gap there that people miss. And I missed it. I'm guilty.
Yeah, you got to work up to that. You have to get to that point. Not saying you can't be at that point, but it's not going to be, all of a sudden you get a business license, or you create an LLC, and now all of a sudden I'm going to go fishing. Well, guess what? You're not going to make no fucking money that day. You can fish to your little heart desires, but you're not making any money. But let's move on to the next one, because it's kind of going to tie into some of this. Well, the one I have for number 3, but just go on with your next one.
So you had number 2. I'm going to do my number 2, because these are in no particular order. So number 3, it's my
Kelley's
number 2.
Go number 2,
yeah, which is this is really important, and if for any reason, I know that this caused so many failures, business failures, is you just don't have the support system you need. And what that means is, like, you're gone, you're married, let's say, you're gone all the time now because you're getting called out all the time, and you're hearing your wife, if she's one of the naggers and she likes to nag in your ear all the time, well, you're trying to grow a business. Like, if you don't have the support from your family and your wife or your spouse, it makes things a lot harder, because you're constantly being pulled in 2 different directions. You're trying to grow your business, but yet you can't do the things, because when you're home, your spouse wants to have quality time with you, when you don't have time for quality time anymore, at least not when you're in the initial stages of growth.
She wants some flat back fucking up in here. Sorry.
Yeah. So what do you think about that
But,
support system?
I mean, and the other thing is about, yeah, support system is huge because even if your spouse might be all like on board with, oh yeah, that's great, you're going to start your own business, and you worked a lot before when you were on call, and so I'm used to you working all these hours, but say a couple weeks go by and there's no money coming in, and now all of a sudden your wife's like, Kelley, how are we going to pay the bills? Like the mortgage payment's due and we can't make the payment. This is a fucking stupid idea. You should have just stayed for that company. And, like that support system that, they're fully on board with you going through this process, that they know that you're going to go through, what do they say? Trials and tribulations. That what they say. You're going to go through those rocky roads, and you're going to have somebody there that's going to be able to support you, keep you from breaking pretty much when you get through those moments, because it's going to be rough, guys. And we're going to get down to it farther in this thing, but I did it and failed. Granted, it was for a lot of different reasons, but I know what the side of it is when it doesn't work. So it's not all kumbaya. And a good foundation support system, whether it be family, good friends, your wife, your children, whatever it may be, is going to be a solid foundation to start. End of discussion. You're just going to have it.
If I had to do it over again, that would be one of the first things I would go to. I would go to my wife and say, what do you think? This is going to be demanding. It's going to be hard. Like, I think anybody who's thinking about starting a business, like, you'd be stupid not to have that conversation, especially now that you know this by listening to this podcast. Like, you got to have those conversations and make sure that everybody's on board and understands what the demand that could potentially happen if the business grows, which it will. If you're doing things right and you're working hard and you're taking care of customers, it will naturally grow.
Yeah, for sure. Let me make sure I'm scratching some shit off here.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be on to on the fourth one. So I guess I'm going to go into one that I have experience with. Is going to be bad partnerships, whether that be friends, family. I mean, you guys have heard all the horror stories about people going into business with their brother. We had a podcast a while back where a guest had said they went into business with their brother, and it ended up being horrific, to where he pretty much had to fire his own brother. I went into business with two guys that I grew up with. One was a good guy. One was a fucking prick. And it didn't work. I should have known that I was going to be the odd man out, and a learning adventure. I'll take it, a learning situation, but it just didn't work out. And it was fighting against each other. We were going nowhere. The vision wasn't the same between the three of us. And if you got three people, it doesn't matter if the vision is the same between two of the three. If all the partners are not on board, it really doesn't matter. And it just got to be a constant fight, to where we weren't going to go anywhere, to where parting ways was going to be the only way. And it sucks, because we really could have done, some really great things, but it is what it is. But in my case, everything happens for a reason, and I'm where I am now. But partnerships, definitely, before you decide to go in business with, like I said, your brother, your cousin, your best friend, you need to really step back and think of what we just said, as far as a support system. And is this person, how strong is that relationship? Is this really somebody you want to go into business with? Are you both providing equal value to the business? Blah, blah, blah. You got to make sure it's the right relationship if you're going to do this, because I've seen that relationship and that bond not be strong enough, not be the right person. Yeah, they might be your buddy, but they don't know shit about business. They don't provide anything as far as to the company. And it ends up failing, and then you actually ends up losing a friendship over it. So we'll get your take.
So on partnerships, excuse me. So here's what I know is that, for one, if you're going into business with somebody, you can't both be the same person to run the business, because there's so many different hats that need to be worn in the business. Like if you're the visionary and you're constantly working from you're looking to the future, here's what it's going to look like, here's what we're going to do, blah, 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 but you're not good at implementing and then holding people accountable. Well, if there's two people that want to be partners and you're both trying to be that, it's just not going to work. Somebody has to be the implementer. Somebody has to be the person who puts this stuff into play and gets it going. Somebody has to be a visionary. Somebody has to be able to dream about the future and where they want to take the business. That has to be, it doesn't sound like even a real job, but it is a job. Somebody has to share the vision, understand the vision, and communicate the vision to the team. Then somebody has to implement it. Then somebody has to manage it. So if there's just two of the same people that are both dreaming and they don't like to implement stuff, or it's like the yin and yang, you got to have two sides. So I would definitely make sure, if I was going to go in business with somebody, that I would have that. I would definitely be the visionary. I love that. That's what I am. I communicate the vision. I'm good at it, and I believe in it. But I'm not always the best at implementing things. So I need help with that. So I have somebody who is good at that. And so, but another thing that I'll say about partnerships, because I've learned a little bit about this, because I've read a little bit about it. I almost got into a partnership less than a year ago with the company that would have instantly added millions of dollars to our revenue, but I basically was going to wind up going on as just a manager, and I wasn't getting anything for my company. I would get an increase in salary, but I chose not to do it because I believe I could do it on my own. I can get to that type of revenue on my own. Might take me a couple years longer, but then it's all mine, and it's not, I'm not splitting it with somebody, or I don't own most of it. So, but one thing else
prick.
Yeah. Well, I've been in business for 11 years, and I couldn't see just giving all that up for a job, which is basically what it would have turned into. So, and that's not what I had in mind when I reached out to this gentleman about a partnership. I didn't have in mind just creating a job for myself. I wanted to be true partners, and we couldn't see eye to eye. So we're still friends, and I chose not to do it. But everything I've read about partnerships here's the main key to it. And please don't take us wrong. I know partnerships can work. They can work. Absolutely. So don't take us wrong when I say this, but it's easy to get into a partnership, but it is hard to get out. So that is the main thing. Anytime I think about partnerships, that's exactly what I think of. It's easy to get in, but it is hard to get out. And that's enough to make me step back and give some more thought to it. So
cheaper to keeper. All right, we're eating up time. We need to get moving. God damn it, Kelley, you're slowing it down.
We're doing good.
Oh no, I said the last one. It's your turn.
We'll get into, what are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. So number 5.
Take the big one.
The big one is probably fix it mindset, sales process, no profit. We kind of lumped all of that into one. Those probably could have been separate categories, but they're kind of all related. So if you got a fix it mindset and you're all about just fixing a 23-year-old system, and you're proud of yourself, and you post it on Facebook, and you're so proud of yourself for fixing this piece of shit, then you're probably not going to make it as a business owner. To be honest with you, that is not in the customer's best interest. I don't care what system it is. I don't care how good it runs. It is not in the customer's best interest to keep a 25-year-old system running. especially if the repair is, say, over $500, which what repair isn't over $500 nowadays? It's not worth putting that kind of money into that old system. So if you're that guy who, I get it. We've talked about this. Like, we take pride in fixing things. It took a lot of years to learn how to fix shit. And now, so when we get a chance to fix something, we want to do that. I get it. But it's not the way to run a business. And it's not in the customer's best interest, period. You can't have the fix it mindset. You've got to have the doing the best thing for the customer mindset and giving them the option, not making the option for them. It's not your decision. We've talked about that extensively. You got to have a sales process. Once you tell them, hey, it's really time to replace this thing. I'm going to give you some quotes, see what you think. I'll be right back. Well, when you come back, you got to have a sales process. You got to build the value before you actually give the prices. It's not just about emailing quotes. If that's what you're doing, you could instantly increase your revenue tremendously and reduce your workload just by having a sales process and sitting down with the customer and spending that extra time, because your margins are going to be higher, your revenue is going to be more, and you'll close more sales. Then because of all that, you're going to have no profit. You know, if you're just a fix it guy, there's not going to be enough profit. Service, it's going to be really hard to, without doing any replacements, it's going to be really hard to operate the company without the bigger ticket items to help with that cash flow. It's all about cash flow. So if you don't have enough cash flow, and my father-in-law said this a long time ago, you know, you do a service call, it's like shooting a rabbit. You get to eat for a day. You get an installation, you know, it's like maybe just a system installation on a residential house. Well, that's like shooting a deer. You get to eat for a week, or you feed your family for a week. Then if you go out and you get a bigger job and say 4 rooftop units that you replace, well, that's like shooting a moose. You get to eat for a month. So just remember that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. You have to, real fast speaking, if you need a sales process,
Yes,
we have one for you. If you need it, tell them where they can find that, Kelley.
Just go to www.hvacserviceready.com, and it's on the second page. Once you get to that website, just scroll down, go to page 2, and you're going to see the HVAC Uncensored Nation Sales Mini Course. And you can build a really high-end presentation that will really express the value of your company. And we've got basically it's a blueprint for a nice presentation. So if you go check that out, it's cheap as hell, and it's worth it. So check it out. If you don't have a sales process, go get it.
Yeah. So, and how many times do you guys see, and like Kelley said, you can't have that fix it mentality where you got to know when to at least offer it. I mean, obviously you're not going to make the decision for the customer, but you have to know when to offer, when to know to tell the customer, you know, I don't recommend fixing this 25-year-old piece of equipment. I think you're ready for replacement. If they decide to fix it, then hey, then you do it. But at least you know that you're doing your job and you're making that recommendation. And more times than not, the customer's going to take your recommendation. The other thing is once you start getting in the right process and you're selling those systems, that you're selling those systems for the right cost, that you're not, we've said it a million times on past podcasts, that you're not selling them so cheap that you're getting every job, and you think that, oh man, business is great, man, I got all these installs, and you look in the bank and you haven't made a fucking dime. You're pretty much chasing your tail. So that goes back to pricing. So guys, you have to, there's things you have to do that all these kind of are going to feed in together, that you have to have all these ducks in a row to make this work. So just know there's a lot more to this than just calling yourself a business, getting a truck and a tool bag and being a business owner. But I'm going to go ahead and get on. I'm going to say the next one. I'm going to save one of these other ones for Kelley. I'm kind of a dick move, but first of all, it's first and foremost is really it's knowing your craft. So for us in HVAC, it's knowing what the fuck you're doing. You know, knowing how to install all this stuff, knowing how to service all this stuff. Because guess what? When you get on your own, you can't call your boss and be like, hey boss, I'm on this and I'm stuck and this happened and that happened and I can't figure it out. There's nobody to call, man. You're the boss. You need to be there to figure it out. And you start going on these jobs and you're out there for an hour, 2 hours, and the customer sees that you don't know what the fuck the problem is, your reputation is going to sink quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that is not the way you're going to want to start your business off. You're not going to get recommendations. And like I've said this before, you do a good job for somebody, they'll tell 5 people. You do a bad job or something like that, they're going to tell fucking 20, 25, 50 people. That is not the way to build your brand and to get your company going if you're out there getting stumped on stuff and can't figure it out. So you're going to need to make sure that you have the technical knowledge to be able to go off on your own, that you're confident. I mean, hey, we all get stumped. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but 95% of the stuff that we see, you're going to be able to diagnose without having to, sit there and rack your brain. I mean, that one's kind of pretty much self-explanatory, but, please go ahead and add whatever you got to add there, bud.
Yeah, I would just say in my area, I see guys once in a while that they go out and they're like, I'm only going to do service. I'm only going to do service. Well, there's no possible freaking way that I could survive just on service. Like I had to know how to install some stuff, because it's like I said, it's like shooting the deer versus the rabbit. Service call is like shooting a rabbit. So you got to be able to have some way to make a really good revenue off of installations. So that's great if you live in such a populated area that you've got service calls, like crazy amount of service calls that you could never get to enough of them. And it's not, it's an area which you can charge what you need to charge. I mean, then you probably could make a good living just doing service, and just, giving your installs away, but you're giving money away every time you do that. So I'm not sure how that works, because I just couldn't, nobody in my area does that. If you go into business, you're doing installs and you're doing service. So that's all I got to say about that.
Same here.
Okay, so
yeah, I mean, there is. No, I was gonna say there is people where they have like subs and stuff like that, but you're still making your profit that you want to make.
Yeah.
So you're definitely doing installs.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go ahead, man.
On to the next would be money/bookkeeper/credit/expenses.
That's the one I saved.
Yeah, I know. That's why I went ahead and picked it. So I'm going to get through this quick because we're running short on time here. But money, look, it's nice to have a little bit of capital for when you get started. I have guys reach out to me that are running out of money. It's happened half a dozen times just over the last, 10 months or so. And they'll reach out to me because I saw one of my YouTube videos or something. They're like, hey, how do I get more leads? I'm almost out of money and I'm not sure what I need to do. Well, we'll get into the next one. I mean, that will answer that question, but it helps to have a little bit of revenue. So if you just start out with nothing and you're not really hungry for it, like, you're gonna struggle, because that's another part of underestimating what it takes to own a business. Is you don't understand what it took to get up to the point where that phone rings every single day and there's calls to do every single day, because it is not like that for somebody starting out. You got to have a bookkeeper from day one. If I could go back and start all over again, I would have a bookkeeper. My books would be straight from day one, because you're going to get into IRS trouble if it's not. When it comes to do your taxes, that shit will catch up with you. I've been there, done that. It's no fun. You wind up owing a bunch of money that you don't have. So start off right from the get-go. And the bookkeeper can probably help you. If you're not making any money, they can help point that out to you. Like, you probably need to raise your rates, dude. So credit, it always helps to have good credit, because you're going to need supply house accounts. You're going to need to buy vehicles, equipment. You may need to borrow money. It helps to have a I didn't have one till years later, but it helps to have a line of credit, and you got to have good credit to have a line of credit. So the next thing is expenses. Your expenses get out of control, and that could be what you're paying yourself. Guys hit the gates and right out of the gates. And I think a lot of reasons for the failures is that they just simply pay themselves way too much, and they don't leave enough in the business. And they may give themselves a $20,000 a year raise, and they're living high on the hog now, and they think they got it all figured out. And then business slows down. The first slow season comes up, and then they're fucked because they don't have the money because they've been blowing it with this big pay raise that they just gave themselves. So I think expenses, not only what you pay yourself, but it's also easy to add this, add that, add this, add that. Oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. And then before you know it, you didn't raise your rates, and you get in trouble because your profit goes away. So there always has to be a balance between your expenses and what you charge.
Yeah, I've seen guys that, they'll have the good credit part, and they'll buy like a work truck, and they'll get it stocked, and then they're like, man, well, I'm going to buy a new personal truck, and I'm just going to say it's for work. And, they'll buy like a new Ford F-250 or whatever brand that you want. And they'll keep doing that, saying it's for business, and the company's paying all these bills. But now we start realizing now we're paying all these bills and we don't have any money left over. And then when you first start the business, a lot of people think, oh, I'm a business owner, I should make $100,000, $80,000, whatever dollars, or way more than what I was making. I got news for you guys. Sometimes when you first start that business, you might not make the same amount of money that you made when you were working for somebody else. The object is not always going to be instant gratification, but if you stick to your guns and you do the process the right way, in a couple of years, in the long run, it's going to pay off. That's when you're going to reap the rewards, to be able to make a little bit more money because you suffered and you weren't greedy in the beginning, and you were taking that money and putting it back in the business and doing what you had to do. So
you got to constantly invest.
Definitely something you got to think about. Yes. So last and finally, which I think, I don't have any order, but I think that this one is very, very, it's huge. It's lack of determination. In order to be a business owner in anything, I don't care what business it is, you have to be a determined individual. Okay. Like we always say, nobody's going to give you anything in this world. And we always say that all these businesses fail. It's hard to be a business owner, especially in the trades, a bakery, whatever business that you're doing. So you have to be determined and willing to stick to your guns and to sacrifice things and to stay on top of it, to do all these other things that we're talking about, to be able to keep track of your money, to know where your money's going, that you're pricing jobs right, that you're hiring the right employees, that you're keeping the right customers, like we said about firing customers, that you're having the right customers. Granted, we're saying this is new business, but you know what I mean, that you have that determination mindset that you're going to keep going and you're going to do things right. And it's not going to be the first bump in the road that you're going to fail. Because if you're that kind of person, you're probably not meant to go in the business. You're just going to create yourself a bunch of debt and heartache to end up working for somebody else. So if you don't have that hard work, dedication, and determination kind of personality or that built into you, I don't recommend starting a business, because you're gonna test yourself real fast and you're not going to be happy with the result that it gives you.
No, you're going to have people quit on you. You're going to have people lie, cheat, and steal from you. You're going to have customers that, talk shit on you. You're going to have a lot of hardship stuff that can just beat down a normal person and make you just say, fuck it, I quit. And you've got to be able to overcome that and just have that determination. I think go ahead.
No, I was going to say real fast, I'm sorry, is another word to go with that determination is going to be resilient. You need to be both of those things.
Yeah, you gotta be able to bounce back. And from when things happen, you get that IRS letter in the mail. You gotta just, grit your teeth, hunker down, and keep moving forward. Because if you don't, that's, a lot of people just don't make it because they just don't have the grit that it takes to make it through those early years, because they're hard. I'm going to tell you right now, they are hard. And what I was going to say, back to what I saw as when I worked for the company before I started my company, is that I saw this ownership lifestyle, and I saw and I wanted that. I wanted that. I thought, oh man, I want to do that. I want to sit in the office and bullshit all day and take 4-day vacations, 4-day weekends all the time. I mean, but that's the entrepreneurial myth, is that we believe that that's what being an owner is, and it's really not. And without the determination to move forward, like I've just had too many people reach out to me in those crisis situations, or, oh, my helper's quitting. What do I do? Like, I'm gonna, and it's like, well, what do you do? Well, you just get up earlier, work harder, stay later, do whatever it takes.
Find another
helper. Like, you just got to have that I'm going to do whatever it takes mentality, and don't break. Because I know a lot of people break as it gets busier and busier, or what happens is they get busy and they have a helper or two, and a couple of those, maybe they get up to 3 people, and a couple of those guys are really good. And then the headaches start, because you have no idea what it's like until you've been in those shoes to try to keep everybody happy within your company. It is hard. It is extremely hard. And as soon as those things is what will keep you up at night. It's not the bills. It's not the customers. It's not, it's not the jobs. It's the people that you hire and work with and love and pour your heart and soul into, and give them as much as you can. When something goes awry with that, or they're talking smack on you every time they leave to go do a job, that's going to funnel back to you. You're going to hear about it. And that is the resilient. You got to be resilient against that type of stuff. And just know that it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to stop you. And that it stops a lot of people. One more story that I wanted to say, back on the support system. And we were talking about, having the support of your spouse, especially if you're married. I was on a call about 8:00 one night, and I was only maybe 2 years into the business, and the customer, I went to collect from the customer, and I was just talking with them, and it was a husband and wife, and the wife goes, "Oh, you're married?" And I'm like, yeah, been married. Shit, I don't know how many, 13 years, 14 years at that point. Oh, you guys are going to get divorced. Like, she just straight up just said that to me. And I was like, she's like, it happens all the time. People go out on their own. I see it all the time. They go out on a business and they spend so much time away from home, they get divorced. And like, I went straight home that night and talked to my wife. I'm like, this is what this customer told me. And like, are we good? Like, because it put doubt in my mind, but it happens. It happens all the time. But I just want to tell that story, that people expect you to get divorced, or at least some of them do, when you start to own a business. So.
Yeah. I mean, the sad part is that we know that it for sure happens. To a lot of people, they get divorced from the business stuff, but, yeah, sorry, that's, letting me know, or this one, we'll use that one again. Just letting us know that it's about that time, that we need to start closing this out. We jibber jabber a little longer, but you guys get the point about what we're talking about. Is we hear all the time, and obviously we advocate guys trying to go in business for themselves and stuff like that. It's fine, but it's not for everyone. That's It's not. And we just want you guys to have a plan, that you have things and processes in place before you do that you just don't jump, and it just becomes a complete disaster. So with that being said, let's close it out, my friend.
Guys, I hope you like this, and gals, I hope you like this episode. We sure had fun making it for you. Yay. So thanks so much for listening. Please give us a 5-star review. Leave us a review. Share it with your friends, family, coworkers. Like we've said 100 times, we just wouldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate all your support, but it really helps for us to see those reviews. So please hit us up if you want to give us 5 stars. If you don't want to give us 5 stars, then just email us. So, but thanks for listening. It's been fun tonight. Hope you enjoy this episode. Go make money.
Yeah, guys, like Kelley said, man, you guys know all the ways to find us on the podcast app, the email, the HVAC Uncensored at gmail.com, the website, HVACUncensored.com. We have merch coming soon. Our team of guys that works with us is working very diligently to get some awesome merch coming out, and I think you guys are going to be happy. A lot of guys have been asking for it, so it's going to be all the hat, shirts, beanies, all that kind of stuff. But that is coming, so I wanted to make sure you know about that. Yeah, that's about it, man. We love you guys. We appreciate you coming back every week to listen to us talk. Like we always say, if you guys have any topics that you would love for us to bring up, talk about, please feel free to hit us up in any of the ways we just mentioned. We definitely, please go leave us a review. I'm not going to suck your dick like Kelley. But no, just, yeah, we would love to get 5-star reviews. The sad part is having the Facebook group, somebody gets kicked out and, they leave you a 1-star review and say, oh, these fags kicked me out of their group, man. So we need to have those good 5-star reviews to combat those really ones that are meaningless. So if you'd be willing to do that, that'd be great. Remember to actually subscribe to the podcast. That way it's there every week on whatever app. If you actually hit subscribe, it will automatically download it. So it'll just be there waiting for you every Monday. Other than that, man, that's about it. Guys, like I say every week, guys, set yourself apart. No, let me back up for a second. I skipped one. God damn it. Guys, be safe. First and foremost, guys, be safe. This time of year, make sure you're coming home the same way you left. You're hydrating. It's going to be hot out there. You're drinking water. You're trying to eat right. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself, because we're going to be putting ourselves in the elements right now. The other one, there we go, is set yourself apart, man. Remember, guys, do them little things that the other guys aren't doing. Whether you own a business, you work for a company, we want you guys to be rock stars. Like we always say, the best versions of you. So make sure everybody knows your name for good reasons, not bad reasons. Yeah. And then finally, man, we love you guys. Stay rock stars. Keep fucking killing it out there. We hope everybody had a great Memorial Day. And yeah, that's about it. So I will talk at you motherfuckers next week. Until then, peace.
Peace. Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.